I feel awful about how I feel about my wife. I feel awful about how I feel about my wife and don't know what to do. Apologies in advance. This may turn into an emotional rant. Just had our 12th anniversary this year, and it was the worst anniversary we have ever had. For years, I've complained to her that I feel like her roommate rather than her husband and father to her children. Why do I feel like this? Because whenever I try to show affection, such as a random hug or a kiss, or just coming up behind her and putting my arms around her and telling her I love her, she either physically pushes me away or verbally does. Like, why would a wife not want affection from her husband? This isn't just a one-time thing. It's a constant issue that I've been complaining about to her for years. When I get really adamant about it and tell her how it makes me feel unwanted and unloved, she will change her behavior for a little while, and then it eventually goes right back. In other day-to-day interactions, it always seems like she thinks the worst of me, making comments to our marriage counselor of all people that when it comes to some financial decisions, I'm just going to do whatever I want. That broke me. I have never made a financial decision without talking to her about it before. And when she said that in counseling, I was just absolutely crushed as I realized she thinks so little of me. When it comes to intimacy, I have to practically beg her for any kind of contact. And then during, I feel like I'm grabbing her because I can tell she's just doing it to shut me up. I've stopped being able to finish with her. So I tried stopping all of my attempts at any affection with her. No more hugs or kisses or sex initiated by me. I stopped jumping up when she got home and excitedly talked to her about our days. I started withdrawing from her and spending more time out of the house with friends, doing things that made me happy. I spent more time with my son and daughter, and I was getting along just fine. She claims she noticed me pulling away, but never said anything about it. Didn't make any attempts at affection or talking to me about it. Nothing. I got a second job that ends up with me interacting with a lot of different women. Some of them show me more attention than my wife does. I can't help but desire them over my wife. Not that I'm acting on it, but the feelings are there. Finally, it comes up during counseling. And I admit that I don't feel the way I used to. I've lost that spark, that excitement to be around her. I find myself wanting to be with other people more than I want to be around her. After counseling, we had another talk, and I felt horrible telling her how I felt. It just poured out of me. I didn't yell as I wasn't mad. I was just extremely sad. And I felt guilty because I know she loves me and doesn't want to end things. But I just feel emotionally checked out. Once she realized I was ready to call it quits, everything changed. Suddenly, she was showering me with affection every day, all day. She finally stopped sitting on the other side of the couch, ignoring me, and would snuggle up to me, wanting to be held. She would initiate kisses. She would initiate sex. She was suddenly the fun girl that I dated all those years ago and not this miserable person that ruined nearly every interaction with other people. In the past, she wouldn't take part in any real get-togethers or even just wanting to do fun things with us as a family. Forget it. If my family wanted to do things, all she would do is complain about it the whole time. She would be the proverbial wet blanket. Not anymore. Now she's the first to suggest doing something fun. She's laughing again and trying to have fun. She's basically being everything I could have asked her to be again. Now I feel awful that it's not working. I still feel the same. Like it's too late for me emotionally. In the back of my mind, all I can think is this is just a temporary thing and it's going right back to the way it was soon. This doesn't feel like a loving marriage anymore for me. It feels like I'm with a girl that really wants to be with me, but I'm just staying so I don't hurt her feelings. It's not fair to her. She's not all bad. She's a great mother and a great partner. She takes care of the house, she's got a great job. And she's supported me through the years, which makes me feel even worse about how I feel. Do I just give up? Is there a way to fall back in love with her? I don't know what to do or if I'm just crazy. God, this makes me depressed. Try living it. It sucks. FR. I could have written this. If my wife were to read this, she would think I wrote it. Miserable, depressed and miss my wife. If my ex-wife were to read this, she would have thought I had written it, with the exception of the reinitiating affection thing because that never happened. Divorced, at peace, and happy for the first time in 30 years. Wow, the first time in 30 years? You weren't happy at first or sometimes in between. Honest question. Perhaps AJG was with his wife for 35 or 40 years and was happy for the first 5 or 10. Just a thought. Is that really the only way forward? I'm in a similar boat, fighting through it all, going to counseling and trying to make it work. But whenever I express how I feel and try 100x harder, it's just zero in return. The only thing that would make her happy is another baby, and I'm not playing that game. Which makes me the asshole. Female, if my husband was to read this, he would have thought I've written this. Everything Op said, especially about the part where he told her his feelings and then she finally got it, is exactly where I'm at right now. I'm happy he's putting in the effort and recognizing his flaws, but I still can't get it out of my head. Is it going to last? It got so much worse. He took away anything that gave me the slightest please or joy. Anything that made me smile had to be cut out. Dickhead, dead husband. Dropkick husband. You get the general idea. LMMFA. It means darling husband, but yours is better. Of course, in the context she was posting, darling husband did not occur to me at all. I actually thought it was. Dear husband, like DS or DD. Dear son or daughter. I think yours are more fitting here. Dead, he's being slowly poisoned. My wife watches all the murder shows. She calls them training videos and smiles at me. Women can be terrifying creatures sometimes. Female as well. And same. Except the effort is very minimal. Even when I beg, I got tired of asking to feel like more than a roommate. I don't want to have to beg someone to show me how they feel. I don't feel like I was asking for a lot. Just a hug or some simple physical affection or a compliment. It's so frustrating, and it's sad to see how many people are in this boat. Female went through this and still am different but similar circumstances. If they mean it, it will last. But it's up to you to decide if you're willing to take the risk. I know that doesn't help. Up and feel free to ignore this. I guess I do suggest talking about it with her, having open communication with my partner about how I was feeling along the way, including me saying I feel like it's not gonna last, really helped get us through a shitty time. It was this way before my divorce as well. It's so difficult to live through seeing someone that you were closer than anyone else become a complete stranger in front of your eyes. Sometimes even worse than a stranger, an active antagonist in your life. I feel for anyone going through this. Same for my husband. I'm going through a lot of physical, hormonal changes, and I try to show my affection through duties, like be a mental bridge. Relationships have their ups and downs though, so it's important to remember it will come back eventually. It's more of a pendulum. I guess connection is important, mental and physical. Sad thing is, I think a bunch of men and women are in this position, me included. Hug, beer, round FO golf, movie ball, GAE. Whatever you need, man, to put a smile on your face, I got you. You are not alone. I eventually left. Yup, I thought I wrote this myself. However, I have not got to enjoy the hysterical bonding yet like Op has. Head over to Reader Bedrooms, and this is the repetitive scene over there. Reader Bedrooms is one of the most depressing subs I've ever come across. Depressing, but it did help me realize I needed out of my marriage. Divorced, remarried, and couldn't be happier. This is me and my EX. Congrats on making her your EX. Op needs to do the same thing. I'm living it too. It's awful. I spent over 30 years afraid to escape similar behavior. Getting away was the best and most powerful thing I ever did for myself. I only wish I'd done it when my children were young. It only gets worse, sweetie. Please don't waste your life being in fear and pain. My heart goes out to OP. It really does. Something has to give. Otherwise, we're just done. It takes two to make LTRS work. It always takes two, and something has to give. It has to. No joke. It's soul-crushing and draining. Sounds like what happened to me a couple of years ago, except the part where she tried. Looking back, it seemed like it was just depression and anxiety. Didn't matter what I did. It was never good enough. She also said she didn't want to compliment me because it would go to my head. Anyway, divorced and much happier for it. I don't have kids, so that may complicate things. In the short term, maybe because of kids. But it sounds like the op is miserable every day of his life. I'm there right now. It reminds me of the last couple of years with my ex-wife. Me too. It's honestly why I'm so averse to commitment. 32 years old serial dater, but not willing to commit precisely because of stories like these. I feel what op is going through, or worse, is statistically more likely than staying in love forever. So the math. Don't math for me. And yes, it's depressing. I'd rather have a marriage fall apart than never even try. Because it might be amazing as well. I'm willing to take that chance. I'm going through exactly what the op is at 40, except my wife hasn't started love bombing me yet. At least not at this point. She did when we almost called it quits in 2016. If I decide to end it, I won't give her the chance to trick me again. Me too. I'm so fucking depressed reading this. I want affection too. My wife is not the affectionate one, and I do the showering of love and praises. She doesn't initiate sex unless it's obvious that I'm not going to do anything about it for a while due to her lack of initiation. How do you tell if she's attracted to you when she doesn't initiate? I listened to an interview of couples who had been married for over 25 years, and they were asked, how did you stay married for so long? They replied, we never fell out of love at the same time. I truly believe that is the trick. You will fall in and out of love with your spouse through the year or years. But when both fall out of love at the same time, it's almost impossible to find a reason to stay together. At times I have felt, I stayed my husband BC, he loved me, and I can assure you he has stayed me BC, he knew. I loved him even when he didn't feel the same. My husband and I have been together since 1997, and I can honestly tell you he has checked out and I haven't. I've checked out, but he ain't from time to time. Now we are 53 and more in love with each other than we've been in decades. We finally have time for each other. When we met, I was a single mum of 2 toddlers, financially struggling. We had 2 more babies. Our 2050s have been super busy kids, work and financially strapped. He has a great union pension and can take any time now. We are looking at relocating to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, BC. We want to spend our healthy years traveling and exploring. We don't want to wait till we are 70 and using walkers. Hope you both can sort things out BC. It really is amazingly rewarding to be where we are now. I sometimes wonder, am I dreaming? Will I wake up and it's not real? The security, comfort and love I feel when he is next to me. When I can feel his feet next to mine. I can't believe how lucky I am to be so in love at 53 to the most amazing guy in the entire world. I would seriously die without him. He is that important to me. I don't want a life without him. Best of luck to both of you. Don't give up. I've been married for over 20 years and I think this is probably true. I never fell out of love, but I get the checking out thing. Long periods of just being busy with life and then returns to being really focused on each other. When I say out of love, people go through periods in life where they don't feel in love, but still feel love and care for a person. When we had really bad problems, my husband would still call me and ask how I was. I was a total bitch and yet I was so scared. I was scared to be without him and resented him and myself for it, but I showed so much contempt towards him. It was me who I was mad at, not him. Needless to say, our communication was terrible. He'll never forget the night I told him. I'd give anything to hug him. He leaped over to me and hugged me so tightly. I could feel the love we still had for each other, but we were both hurt and angry. Somehow, we made it through that phase as well. I guess marriage is a series of phases we just have to continue to either walk through them or divorce is the answer. Vulnerability is the hardest thing we have to do. Opening up and allowing someone in and possibly reject us is not easy, but it's well worth it. Congratulations on keeping it together for over 20 years. It will be 28 for us next month and I am so ready for the next phase of our lives. I am ready for my husband and I to enjoy the world, travel and do nothing. Maybe bird watching with him while I do yoga. Simple life him is all I need and want. I don't care for luxuries. I don't care to impress neighbors. I only care to impress him. I'm happy to see at least one positive take on this. I commented from the opposite perspective of OP, and I can see a future where we are like your relationship, because I'm serious about turning things around. This is inspiring. Sounds like she got comfortable. You weren't going anywhere, so she didn't have to put in any real work. It's pretty common for both sexes to do. But then, when there was a threat, all of a sudden the energy to do the work is there. It's sad and incredibly hurtful. When I'm here, I'm not interesting enough. When I'm threatening to leave, you're hot and heavy. It isn't fair to either of you. Honestly, you did love her. You see her now as the person you fell in love with since she's tried, but you're waiting for it all to stop. My only advice is to talk to her. Tell her everything that you've just told us, that you see her changing, but you feel it might only be temporary, that after a while she'll get bored or tired of the work and go back to the way she was. then you're back to thinking about leaving again. You can get back what you lost, fall in love with her again, but you've got to work at it too and want it. But it has to be clear that you aren't going to accept the same treatment, and that you will walk away if it starts again. Is this information current? Is she still being affectionate, etc.? My ex-wife acted exactly the way yours did. I even used that phrase that you mentioned, about being more like roommates raising children than husband and wife. She would get all affectionate and lovely for a while, and everything would seem fine. And then gradually she would slip back into her cold, uncaring ways once she felt she had safely secured me into not leaving. That cycle repeated and repeated, until finally I woke up and realized it was never going to change, and I divorced her. Now I'm married to the best woman on earth, who I should have been with from the start. To answer your question about trying to love her again, you need to figure out what it was that made you fall in love with her in the first place, and go from there if you think the marriage is worth saving at this point. Since you have kids, I would encourage you to at least give it a try. It's a very common man feels like a roommate and mentions it to woman. She pretends for a while, then chooses roommate again. Man gets fed up and she files for divorce for irreconcilable differences. Why admit you're part of the problem when you can tell everyone that you are actually the unhappy one and not part of the problem? Man gets fed up and she files for divorce for irreconcilable differences. This is exactly what happened to me. 20 years of marriage and 4 minor children. She'd rather blow the whole thing up than take any accountability for her actions. Tell everyone that you are actually the unhappy one and not part of the problem. And the real kick to the nuts is that all of her friends, family and acquaintances believe her. Went from her telling me if I quit smoking, it would be different, so I quit. Next time we talked about the exact same thing. She said if I quit smoking, it would be different. She didn't even notice I quit the first time she said it 6 fucking months previously. She was my wife and didn't notice I hadn't smoked a cigarette in 6 months and I was on 40 a day. The end for me though, was when I literally begged her to ask me how my day was every now and then. Because one of the first things someone asks a fucking stranger is, "How's your day?" That's when I told her I was unhappy. And boom! Divorce papers served the next week. I'm well aware of the faults I brought to the marriage. She is oblivious to the faults she brought. Well, not oblivious. She knows damn well, but she'll never admit to them or take accountability for them. Question, is your ex thriving now? Nearly the exact. Down almost to the minute details, but especially her pulling out all the stops in the affection department. Didn't work, as I wasn't convinced. It's not an on-off button. And most certainly not an endlessly if instantly on button. I made the decision I would put myself first instead of the perceptions I held related to putting her first. We dissolved the marriage after 26 years. The lessons I had to Harvey been learning are transformative. When we love ourselves first and only allow those who love us into our lives, everything becomes much simpler, clearer, and overall better. I didn't think I deserved to be loved. I was wrong. She was wrong for me, which also means I'd never be right for her either. Clearly, I should have figured the core issue out before I got into adulthood and started making adult decisions. Play the ball where it lays. As the adage goes, she friend-zoned you and was fine with it until she realized that you might actually leave. Edit. I also got friend-zoned in the last 18 months of my marriage. I asked her to come back. I asked her to go to counseling with me. She asked for a trial separation. I filed for divorce. My ex was like that. As long as we were in counseling, she was better. But the minute she thought things were better, bam, back old normal. If counseling was a once-a-day maintenance medication she could take, we'd still be married. Yay, this is a classic story too. The shit partner realizes it almost over, and they put in effort until they think they don't have to anymore. And then they stop again. Yup, she's going to go right back to not caring once they settle back into things. I feel it's not a long-term change on her part either. Yep, the pattern will eventually repeat. This is a survival-driven reaction. Ask yourself what you want, and can you imagine yourself waking up next to this woman in 1 year, 5, 10? This is literally always the fear. My wife and I have been through a lot, and we are at the point where she realized and is doing well. But when she slips, I tend to spiral. Thankfully, we communicate so it doesn't get crazy, but it can really fuck me up. That's rough. Sounds a lot like my ex-wife. She pushed me so far that by the time I was ready to call it quits, she suddenly wanted to be perfect wife. But I was too far gone. At that point, I all but hated her for ignoring my needs for years. She knew I hated divorce, never wanted to be a divorcee, and she used that to act like nothing mattered. She knew I'd never leave. But one day, everything went as it always had. She got up, was mean and nasty as always, then left for work. When she got home, I told her I was done, that I didn't deserve her treating me so poorly, and I wanted a divorce. So suddenly it's all let me this and I'll do that and whatever you need. But for having pushed me so far away, by that time, I just didn't care anymore. It wasn't even other women I wanted. I just didn't want her and her neglect and abuse, emotional and physical. I was just done, and nothing was going to change that. I feel for you, man. I don't know what to suggest other than to commiserate with you on the topic. I hope you find some way to wring a little bit of happiness out of life sooner rather than later. But otherwise, I just don't know what to say other than be well and make sure your kiddos are okay. Sending you good vibes and prayers. I can completely relate to this. Only the genders are reversed in my story. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I think it is the same with Op. He has already fallen out of love. The damage is done. You can't just reverse that by love bombing. Once you hit a point of no return in a relationship with someone, it is often a permanent change. It would require a lot of work, time, and dedication to mend some damage. And that would not even be all the damage. And even then, things will probably never be the same again. I think Op's wife is pretending. I think she does not want to lose the family they build together and have her life turned upside down. And when you are truly scared to lose something, you will do what is necessary until you feel safe again. Because Op has spoken about what he felt. They have been going to marriage counseling. It isn't like she was unaware of how she acts around him and interacts with him and what Op is feeling. She didn't even seem to mind him pulling away, probably because she preferred it over having to deal with Op wanting love, affection and attention that she is likely not feeling for him anymore. So Op chasing her probably annoyed her a lot, but him pulling away, being away and leaving her alone while also keeping the status quo of her current life was probably perfect to her. But the moment he was thinking of divorce, she had a problem because she wants her life as it is, just not with Op being her husband. IMO. This relationship is very likely gone. Op's wife likely does not mean any of her current loving actions, and it is not working because Op has mentally mourned what was and has already at least partially moved on. She broke your trust is basically what happened. Like you mentioned that you would tell her how you feel and she would temporarily be nice, but then go back to her normal behavior. She was getting away with behaving this way until she couldn't. Problem is that your mind and heart has been tugged back and forth so many times that she broke the line that was holding you. Maybe there is more to this on her side that we don't understand, which would justify your relationship and how she treated you. But if you are not feeling it, then you are not feeling it. Don't let her on if you are no longer mentally in this relationship. Wishing you the best. I experienced something similar in my first marriage. The change was indeed short-lived, but it wasn't one-sided. I knew my part in it and I accepted responsibility. There's always two sides to the story. The change doesn't always come from a place of love, but a place of fear. I think a lot of times, even people in bad relationships don't get away because they are afraid of the unknown. For those of us who have been through this and are now happily married again, I think we would probably all say there's nothing worse than being any loveless marriage. There is absolutely a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter what you decide. If you actually love your wife, it would be more than worth working through it. Is it worth it to you to try to give it another try? That's a question only you can answer. Maybe give it some time. Your emotions aren't a switch. They're complex. They may build over time. I'd recommend individual counseling as well. This comment is spot on. Also, it sounds like part of what might be going on is that this is the first time they are truly being honest with each other about their feelings. Intimacy requires vulnerability, and if the vulnerability wasn't there, maybe that was why the intimacy wasn't there. Both Op and wife should do individual counseling. Damn, I feel this. I'm so sorry. I'm genuinely curious in ways she has been supportive of you throughout the years and been a great partner. It feels like you quickly glossed over these things in the second to last paragraph. Do you guys have equal incomes and contribute the same financially to the home? Do you two have the same effort put into the parenting? You told her you needed her to change and she is doing that. I'd give her a chance. I'm so sorry, OP. You sound a lot like I did in the months before I told my husband of 17 years I wanted a divorce. Speaking as a woman, this new behavior from her is not authentic or sustainable. Some toned-down version of it may be workable should you continue in therapy. She may have just needed a shock to wake her up out of a complacent fog. I wouldn't give up just yet. I don't know how I ended up here. I suspect because this is an upward trending sub. It puts it into everyone's feeds, especially if the I sees you reading some of the other advice, subs like AIO or ADA. Heck, I'm seeing advice from women over 40 and Ask Feminists in mine. I went through the exact same thing with my ex-husband, except the roles reversed. He wouldn't touch me or do fun things with me, and I had to beg for minimal affection. When I asked for a divorce, he panicked and made all the changes. Honestly, it was too late. After years of neglect, I was done and mentally checked out. I wouldn't feel guilty about it. People grow apart, and that is allowed. You can't expect to be neglected for years, then just fall back in love because all of a sudden they realize they are losing you. In the back of my mind, all I can think is this is just a temporary thing and it's going right back to the way it was soon. Well, if you really wanted this to work out, it'd give one last leap of faith. Trust it will last. And if it doesn't, then you know it's over. And call it then. Only time will tell if it's a temporary phase or not. Actions speak louder than words. Right now, you are glad her actions are changed and you can listen to see if they stay changed. Of course, things like this may have lapses here and there, and that doesn't mean it's reverted. If you guys have an argument or stressful period and she relapses for a day or two, that doesn't mean it was temporary, as long as it only lasts for a short period of time. But if it ever becomes the norm again for this, then you know that it was temporary and you have to make a final decision with that. That's just my take though. If you both want your marriage to work, you have a chance. It might also be time to change marriage therapists. It also sounds like you have become parents, then individuals, and somewhere in there you are a couple. It is probably time to build a new relationship between the two of you. I can't say this enough. Learn collaborative communication skills so you can get on the same page and be a couple again. She takes care of the house, she's got a great job, she's a great mother. She works too, is involved with the kids, but she takes care of the house? That was a specific thing to mention outright. Not that she helps around the house or shares the responsibility, but that she takes care of it. Women often pull back from affection when it feels like they are giving more than they are receiving. If she's also working but is the one taking care of the house, then she would likely feel more like you're another kid to care for, not a partner. All this post says is what you want from her, not what you provide beyond physical affection. Which is what you want. You mentioned what you bring up in counseling, but what has she brought up? There's no mention of what she said were her reasons for not being affectionate, as I'm sure she had something to say when you unloaded. Sit down and ask her where she feels you aren't giving her what she needs. Ask where she feels the relationship is weak and reiterate where you feel it's weak. I'm concerned with your phrasing about what she said in counseling, brought up to our marriage counselor of all people. Is that not the point of counseling? To bring up issues in the relationship, to work on them? If she can't bring up issues to the counselor, then why are you two going? So you can vent, but not her. If she says you're going to do what you want financially anyway, while you say you've never made a financial decision without talking to her, that tells me either you talk but didn't listen to her and counted talking about it as agreeing to it, or B, she isn't properly communicating when she disagrees with a purchase and expects you to read her mind that she didn't want you to purchase something. Either way, a marriage counselor is absolutely the best person to consult to address this and help you both communicate better. The reason you aren't happy she's changed because you feel it's temporary is totally valid. If the reasons she started pulling back haven't been addressed, then she absolutely will start to pull back again. But if you two sit down and talk about where both of you feel your needs aren't being met and both commit to providing what the other needs, then the relationship can be saved. You can start appreciating her effort to be affectionate, knowing it isn't temporary. Absolutely. All of this. She's probably doing everything. Working, taking care of the house and kids. And this guy is complaining about her not being affectionate enough. If he decides to divorce her, she will likely have more time to have fun due to shared custody. Good points. And I'm glad I finally saw a comment that points out the bit about being embarrassed to the marriage counselor. That was weird to me, too. Thank you. Had to scroll way too far down to see this. She's working, taking care of the house. kids, and husband is doing what? Complaining about lack of affection even though she's probably beat. The cruel irony here. You wanted her to be as your wife in spite of her feelings. Now you can bring yourself to be as her husband in spite of your feelings? Sounds like now you're the one who needs to kick back into gear. So it's hard to trust her affections to be enduring after being abandoned for so long. Understandable, but is that not also relatable now you find that neither were your feelings so unfailingly virtuous? You wished as much from her as this. Now hold yourself to the same. Just as you love yourself and want the best for yourself, love your wife and give her your best. The difference now is that there's another woman he's interested in. She's checked out in her head, but doesn't want you to leave. Are you paying all the bills? Op literally said she has a great job. Says in the last paragraph that she has a great job, so highly doubt it. She's a great mother and a great partner. She takes care of the house. She's got a great job and she supported me through the years. Do you do any of the house stuff? If she's doing it all on top of a job, maybe she's just got no energy left when everything's done for the day, especially if her workday is longer. I'm surprised you are the only person to point this out. It's not fair to her. She's not all bad. She's a great mother and a great partner. She takes care of the house. She's got a great job and she supported me through the years, which makes me feel even worse about how I feel. You know, the house is both of your responsibilities, right? If she is working full-time and then coming home to be the primary person in charge of the domestics, no wonder the romantic love faded for her. Nobody wants to be kissed and touched on when they are trying to wash dishes that need washing. Nothing kills romantic love faster than having to play parent to your partner. That one stuck out to me too. No wonder they've fallen out of love if his love is based only on what she can do for him. Where are the things he loves about her appearance, her unique characteristics, IDK, her humor, etc.? No shared activities, interests or hobbies. Anyone might be turned off thoroughly if any partner described his love for them with a list of things they can do around the house and how they've supported him. How about you just fucking communicate? Ask questions, investigate. Don't just take answers as is, seek the reasons behind the answers. It's ridiculous how many adults here are too chicken shit to just communicate in their own marriage. Nothing here indicates that you had a proper session where you both talk it out despite having a marriage counselor. Or are you missing some details that explains her behavior? Have you asked her why she doesn't feel anything? Because you sure as hell haven't mentioned any of her actual thought beyond financial. We heard everything about your needs, but nothing about her. And that's telling. It's pretty obvious to me that she's also going through pains as well. Women need to feel appreciated as well, and affection is not always the go-to. Take her out. Do things together to break the damn routine. Even if you have to force her. Maybe she's going through a rough patch. There's so many unexplored questions that you should have done before acting like a victim. There is no need to rush or feel like you need to feel the same way now. Give it time to see if her efforts actually last. But I will caution nor making it a one-sided thing on her end. You know how it feels. Don't do the same just to get revenge. If after a few more months you still feel the same way and cannot fall in love with her again, then you go through the process of separation. And quit flirting with women at work, because you definitely are. Been through the exact same thing. Mine started putting in effort, and that almost had me have a nervous breakdown. I thought, who's my real wife? The one that blew me off for years, or this new one that wants attention? I chose to just kinda go with it, fully expecting her efforts to waver. They eventually did, and I could tell we are headed back to roommate territory. I thought she can't keep up the charade forever if it's fake, etc. But this time she's trying to make corrections sooner so we don't turn into roommates again. I feel bad you've dealt with this, but it's fairly common for married couples to go through the roommate phase. It friggin' blows too. I wish I had a better answer. I sometimes wish she'd match my energy. Want me like I want her. But she isn't me. She has her own ways. I just gotta roll with it.